Yo, dude, Warren here. I got permission to take time off work to live stream this Super Bowl, Super Bowl 60 or LX, Seattle Seahawks, New England Patriots. It's February 8th, 2026, and we're going to have some fun. But I've been saying for most of this year that Seattle has been a top team, like all around good team for a while. So it was Seattle and the Rams were like neck and neck, and then everybody else were in their own tier, in my opinion. The Patriots were kind of up there too. Like the only flaw that they had, that, in my opinion, is they gave up too many sacks. Just in case I feel the need to scream, I have this handy. It's a screaming pillow. It's pretty self-explanatory. You bury your face in it. And hopefully my neighbors will appreciate that I have this and I'm not that loud with it. I suppose I should start with this. I have two apologies I'd like to issue out there. One of them being Brittany Mahomes. I have said some negative things about you, and I want to take them back and just want to say I wish nothing negative to you or your family. No reason to involve you into anything that the players or the NFL are doing. And the same goes for Kelly Stafford. I've said some not so nice stuff, and I wish I could take it back. And furthermore, when Matthew Stafford got the MVP, his four daughters being up there, I saw the clip of them going over the stats of like not just his playing career, but like how many times he took them to volleyball practice and helped them with their homework and that sort of thing. That was the most emotionally like wholesome moment I have seen in terms of like NFL in a while. The daughters all doing that, so that was really nice to witness. And I'm happy that Matthew Stafford got his MVP. Whatever I've been up to lately, around this time a month ago during like break from work and stuff like that, my family and I went on a cruise, a 4-day Disney cruise. It was a Make-A-Wish type of situation for one of my relatives, and I'll just leave it at that. But we had a lot of fun. During the start of the Lions and Bears game of the final week of the season, I was across the hall from that bar in a bingo hall playing bingo, and I won at bingo. It was a 5-way tie, but I won the first round of bingo out of the several rounds, and my clinching score was 069, which I thought was pretty funny. And yeah, the 5-way tie, I wound up with $116 from that, so that was one of my highlights, obviously, besides spending time with family, as well as drinking Blue Hawaiians and pina coladas and the adult pool area for most of the time. So I got a couple of pictures out there highlighting the vacation. What else have I been up to? Over the last year or so, I've been kind of secretly taking some classes at the community college that I work at. It was really just 4 classes. Not this past fall, but the fall before it. I foolishly tried to take them all at once, and I barely got by. I failed one of the classes, but barely got by on the rest of them because I was doing that. I was live streaming with NFL. I was working a full-time job, 2 jobs, and just all around busy, got myself tired. But I retook one of the classes and passed it with an A to clinch getting the degree earlier. And it's this. It's a technical diploma in bookkeeper from Chippewa Valley Technical College, which is in western Wisconsin. I know I have plenty of degrees in already, but I wanted to get one that in a practical field. At least it's practical for now until hopefully AI doesn't take it over. But it's a combination of all of the valuable skills you would want in a business world, especially if you have interest in running a small business one day like I do. So the intro to accounting class, payroll accounting, QuickBooks accounting, and Microsoft Excel. So payroll accounting was the one I didn't pass just because I wanted to prioritize the other classes, and I focused on that last. So I retook that one and got the highest when I retook it, got the highest grade out of any of the other classes, and it's yeah, I find it very fascinating now that I've gotten to do it because everywhere that any place you could work at is a job, and every job needs to pay their employees, and payroll is a factor in every single job if you think about it. So figured why not try to do something with that. So we'll see what happens. I still have interest in lifelong learning stuff. So I don't have any degrees or technical diplomas or anything related to skills trade. I think I might try to, as long as I'm got the life situation I got going on, just why not keep going and keep collecting, HVAC is probably the trade I have the most interest in just because I work around coolers that don't always work. And I'd always just like to learn how to fix them myself, like freezers and coolers and stuff like that. They kicked off to Seattle. And we don't get to see Rashid Shaheed return it, unfortunately. It's one of the players I liked. I had him on my fantasy team to start the year when he was with the Saints, and then he got traded, and now he's doing kick-ass special returns stuff. So his name was always difficult for me to get right just because it was like the hash slinging slashers, like Rashid Shaheed, But I eventually got it. I realized Rashid, as in Rasheed Wallace from the Detroit Pistons. Rashid Shaheed was the intended target, covered by Carlton Davis, and the pass to Sales passed them out of bounds. I'm guessing they'll probably just settle for a field goal, which is fine. Take the points. That is the key to winning a lot of these games. That's like the key to Lions' success or when they fail or whatever, being the first team to score. And if you can score, the better you score, the better it is. I mean, obviously, the kick is up and it's good. The main reason for it is just because of the psychological warfare. The longer time you can spend in the league, the better, because you're the team who feels more relaxed psychologically as you continue in the game, while the other team feels the more pressure from losing at that point. So if you can get a touchdown on your very first drive, and then make sure the other team doesn't score a touchdown, then that's a really good setup for success. Best case scenario, in my opinion, each team's first two drives, one team has 14 points, the other team has 0. But as long as you're not losing after those first two drives, then I think you're good. But 14-0 to start a game, it's tough to come back from that because even throughout the game, leading, tie, if it's a shootout. And New England's going to punt. So I predicted the Seahawks would win this game, and this is a good sign for that. Both teams have one drive, and Seattle is the team that came out of those first drives each with the lead. So their odds have significantly increased because of that, in my opinion. But let's see how each of these next drives for each team goes. So I'm guessing free agency starts tomorrow, and some people are going to start signing and stuff. The Lions will probably prioritize resigning some of their own players that they have to resign. Hopefully they sign the center from either the Ravens or the Bills. That would be nice. Maybe an edge rusher, either a Phillips, the guy who was traded to the Eagles, or I'd probably take Boyd Mafe from Seattle. I remember him from when they were both drafted. I honestly have not kept track of their stats from their rookie years. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with this free agent cycle or the draft. I think for the Lions, though, I think free agency is definitely important. Maybe more important than the draft this time around. Because the Lions don't have a third-round draft pick, even though they do have the number 17 overall first round. So do you trade down from that and pick up a third-round pick back? Or just pick the BPA? And the Patriots are going to punt again. So that's 2 drives per each team, and he gets tackled at the 13. And the Seahawks are still leading 3-0. So I'm ever so more confident that the Seahawks are probably going to win this game at this point now, just based on what I said earlier about being the first team to score and being in the lead for the start of the game. Even though it's just 3-0, but the psychology of being in the lead is huge. Their first play, they run it up and gain a couple of yards there. And I was just saying that it looks like we're going to have a defensive football game. Oh, yeah, one more apology to the NBC announcers here. I might not have said some not so nice things to them online, so just frustration for my team. I don't know why I felt like I had to take it out of you guys, but again, I apologize for that. Blocker gains about 1 yard going up the left side there. It'll be 3rd down. It won't be a 3rd and long, but they're not close to the first down marker, if that makes sense. The high percentage on converting on both 3rd and 4th down is another key factor in success for teams. And to do that, you got to get some yards on 1st and 2nd down, so that way you're not 3rd and out, and you can get creative and have more options of how to cross that line that's right in front of you. But in this case, they're 3rd and 7. But so you almost know that they're going to pass here. Darnold in shotgun. Gets the ball off to the tight end. He gets the first down to the 28. A.J. Barner. Evaded a couple of tackles, Sam Laporta style. I hope Laporta is healthy for this next upcoming year. I have a feeling that big things are going to happen, especially with Drew Petzing being the defensive coordinator, even though Mike Kafka is over there too for the Lions. Flea flicker-ish play to 22, but loss of a lot of yards. The defense was all over that one. This feels like a regular but nice Super Bowl without any interference from any non-players who are high-level celebrities in the stand somewhere. That is a nice change of pace. Not that I have anything against any of those people anymore, but punt is up, down to the 30, around the 30. He gets tackled. He takes care of the ball and he goes down. 19 seconds to go in the first quarter. Okay, Roger Federer. John Bon Jovi. He was part of the pregame stuff, I think. Jay-Z. Hailey Bieber, Justin Bieber. Adam Sandler. All right, those guys, I don't mind so much. Still 3-zip. Hey, I got 2 people in here. Welcome. I didn't know if I was going to get anybody tonight, but glad you're all here. I was about to use this time to talk about some of the videos I am planning to get out there. So I released one a couple of weeks ago, just kind of about like Lions statistics from like the last 4 years, like where they're getting better at and in certain categories, which ones they're decreasing at and where I think they need to get better. I'm thinking about doing something similar to that video, but with the Super Bowl teams from the last 5 years, including this one. So like the season with the Rams and Bengals would be one, and not just Super Bowl winners, but all Super Bowl appearing teams, and just compare their stats, what they ranked first or last in certain categories in the playoffs, and try to figure out which statistics are the most important for a successful football team. And I'm halfway through collecting the data for that, but so far what I've found is defense, the most important thing is takeaways, so interceptions and fumble recoveries, while offense, ranking high in that. And then offense, it's rushing touchdowns. If you rank toward the top in that, then chances are you're going to be a Super Bowl team. So things like that. It'll be much more detailed than that coming up. And then I want to do kind of a every 31 teams that did not win the Super Bowl, their consolation prize for not winning the Super Bowl. So each team would start off like, this team didn't win the Super Bowl, but at least they got blank. And it'll be hopefully something funny. And then I'm going to do a mock draft for a 3-round mock draft for each and every NFL team. I'll obviously start with the Lions, but and then the NFC North teams after that, and then the rest of the NFC teams, and then the AFC, and I'll try to do that early as possible because hopefully people watch that content and then they kind of get ideas for the draft. And then it somehow will help the Lions because everyone's smoke screened or distracted. I'll even add a feature at the end of each of those mock draft videos saying, is it real or is it a smoke screen? Meaning, am I telling the truth or am I lying to distract a certain team to help the Lions, so to speak? Because I have done that in the past. This is the first time I've live streamed over the season. I basically missed an entire season. So for a variety of factors, my work schedule, I wound up working Sunday afternoons and evenings, so that made it harder. But I try to keep track of some games whenever I can. I'd really like to get back into YouTubing again this next upcoming season, as well as this off season. So I kind of miss it, to be honest. I wanted to take some time away and see if I would miss it, and turns out I do because I keep doing Microsoft Excel stuff for power rankings to try to figure out which teams are getting good and which teams are getting bad based on certain statistics. And the Seahawks and Rams were the two teams that were always kind of toward the top, but the Colts were always toward the top too, even though they were on a historic losing streak toward the end of the season. And I'm just like, okay, something's not right with this because they had impressive first half stats, but they're obviously not a playoff team anymore. So when I do power rankings next year, I think I will just do all the teams last 6 games week to week. It'll be harder to keep track of with stats to formulate that, but I think that's probably almost intercepted by the Seahawks. Almost bounced off the Patriots receiver's hands there. All right. I see I got a like for this live stream. Thank you very much. Their only weakness, arguably, was Sam Darnold, whether or not he'll see ghosts or not, and then throw a bunch of interceptions. But the whole Vikings situation is funny to me because at this time last year, we were all saying, Sam Darnold's good until he isn't. He's seeing ghosts on the most clutch games. And that kind of did happen on that Week 18 game against the Lions for not just the NFC North, but the number 1 seed team. And then the week after that, their playoff games against the Rams when they got eliminated. So that's fair that you would say that at that time. And then you have a promising quarterback that you drafted sitting for a year. Deep ball, deflected in double coverage. Christian Gonzalez on the deflection. I like him. Good play by him there. And then fast forward a year. You let Sam Darnold walk in free agency. He signs a contract with another team. Now Sam Darnold's in the Super Bowl with that team. And then you fire the Vikings GM for letting him walk. And it's like, what the heck are you supposed to do? He didn't come through for you in the clutch and you let him walk and now he's in a Super Bowl. And you do the best with the information you have at the time. And the same people are giving the Vikings crap for that, even though those same people before were saying, oh yeah, he's seeing ghosts. He can't play in the clutch. So that's why you never listen to critics. And that's the same lesson to learn about the Lions pursuing Mike McCarthy's situation. I'll get to that in a minute. Walker had a big run play just there. I've been watching Kenneth Walker III ever since his last year in college at Michigan State. Michigan almost went undefeated, but then they lost to State, and it's largely because of Kenneth Walker III. And Nathan Hutchinson was on that Michigan team too. Kick is up. And it is good. Almost nearly down the center. All right. Commercial break. Mike McDaniels and the Lions. So obviously the Lions, it didn't work out with Morton. They need a experienced play caller and that sort of thing. And the biggest name out there is, the Dolphins' former head coach. And at the time, I was reluctantly like, okay, yeah, like, I guess go for it if he's the best option out there. And it's the same thought process about it is like the same thought process, in my opinion, that led the Lions to hire Matt Patricia all those time. You want to get the best, most famous name possible, and then it doesn't work out and gets disastrous. And then Dan Campbell in his opening press conference says, I don't necessarily want the best people here, but the right people here. And I think that's just a lesson that the Lions seem to have forgotten that they learned, like just because somebody seems like the flashiest or is the best option based on what everybody is saying, might not necessarily be the right option. And then the Monday morning that the Bills fired Sean McDermott, I realized Joe Brady's available, who is my favorite coach in this hiring cycle. And I explained this in a YouTube post before because he knows offense. He did really well against the Lions with trick plays, having running backs do receiver stuff, having receivers do running back stuff. He's been a part of playoff teams, playoff wins and playoff losses to learn from. And he knows how to play in the second half of the season and win games in the second half of the season and make comebacks and do that, which is when the Bills stole their division from the Dolphins, the AFC East, a couple of years ago. So all that was why Joe Brady was my favorite. And I saw that he was available after the Bills fired McDermott. I was like, oh my gosh, that whole day thinking Lions go get Joe Brady. And he and Dan Campbell were once roommates. They know each other. Here it comes. And then Drew Petzing gets highlighted. Like, wait, what? And I did some basic research on Drew Petzing, and he's prioritizes the running game, and he's really good at third down conversions. And I was like, all right, Dan Campbell thinks this is the right guy. God bless and move forward. So, and everybody else was freaking out about it because he wasn't Mike McDaniel, and I think I kind of get why. Like, Dan Campbell didn't want Mike McDaniel, because the Lions are a team that wants to run the ball to be able to set up their passing game, while McDaniel prioritizes the passing game in order to set up the running game. So I think there's that difference in philosophies, which is why it probably didn't work out in that way. But that's my thought process for the whole thing. And Joe Brady was my number one option. Everyone else's number one option was McDaniels, and neither of those worked out. And we got Drew Petzing, and he looks like he'll do some good things. Like Sam Laporta will probably have a monster year. Yeah, and then they brought in Mike Kafka anyway, who I kind of had heard about that they were interviewing him. So maybe he'll do some things as a pass game coordinator or assistant head coach or whatever high role they have for him there. And he did some good things against the Lions. Like, he, as an interim coach against the Lions, almost beat us last year. So, and he has experience beating the Eagles too on Thursday Night Football. Patriots take the ball at the middle, gain a few there. That was just my thought process with that whole situation. Either way, with bringing in both those guys, I guess Dan Campbell could go back to doing head coaching stuff, which I think will be beneficial as well. Like, my main concern with the Lions is the fact that Frank Ragnow retired, and they got a couple of rookies in those interior O-lineman positions who need to develop, and I think they developed and did a good job. Yeah, Christian Mahogany was one of the top interior offensive linemen in terms of pass blocking win rate right up until the Vikings game when he got hurt. So he started off with promise there, and I think he did come back, but it didn't look like he did too well after that. But Tate Ratledge, rookie year people, you just want them to develop and not get hurt, just get reps and try to get better. If you're a high first round pick, then you're probably expected just to be like an all-star starter or whatever. But someone like Rattledge, he just needs to develop. But hopefully the Lions can find a center one way or another. In my opinion, Rattledge should stay right where he's at. Patriots punt it, meanwhile. 9:16 to go in the second quarter. I got to update the score. There's been no turnovers in this game yet. And I know for the Lions defense, they talk about maybe trying to get a second edge rusher to start opposite Hutchinson. Maybe you could do that. I think the more pressing issue, though, is the health of the safeties. Kirby Joseph has a lingering knee injury, which could affect him for the rest of his career, unfortunately, and that sucks. And meanwhile, Brian Branch, his season ended prematurely with an ACL injury. So I think it was really apparent in that Steelers game how much they missed Brian Branch. And when he went down, the Lions season kind of went downhill from there. So I think Branch was kind of the missing glue to that piece. Not to take away from Jack Campbell, who is now pro, and he played really well and he deserved that. But, you need a bunch of people to help with stopping the run, which is one of the most important things for Dan Campbell. Ooh, Mario. A baby Mario? Baby Luigi Loshi? I can't wait to see that movie, but like a lot of its previews are confusing me. But yeah, maybe sign or draft a safety who can either be a ball hawk and get interceptions or help out with the run game. In my opinion, is the most important thing for the Lions defense there. Because when the Lions were getting more interceptions than they did, that's Kenneth Walker nearly gets the first down. I think getting more interceptions will be very important, like they were able to do 2 seasons ago and 3 seasons ago, and those seasons, not last year when they were down because of the injuries. But I think that's Dan Campbell's formula for defense: stopping the run and getting turnovers, getting takeaways. And I agree with that because that complements your super powered offense. Also, Terrion Arnold, if he has a big year 3, that would be awesome too. I know he got hurt the second year, but you would think someone like him would make a leap. Heck, even who's that other guy that they drafted in the second round after Terrion Arnold? That I don't even remember his name because he's hardly ever played because he's been injured all the time. If that guy can get healthy and do stuff, that'd be awesome too. But I don't think he's developed because he hasn't had the reps in his first 2 years. Play action for Darnold. Almost gets sacked from behind. Gets rid of the ball, but it's incomplete. But yeah, get the O-line back to where it was a few years ago and safeties. That, in my humble opinion, will get the Lions right back into the playoffs and hopefully get them to the Super Bowl. My mom wants to see the Lions get into the Super Bowl sometime in her lifetime. And my grandpa also said the same thing too. And I hope that happens for them and for me. Darnold gets rid of the ball. But yeah, just get into the Super Bowl, Detroit Lions. But, things are very competitive. Their entire division has all had winning records this last year. You got the Eagles. You got the Seahawks and the Rams, obviously. But the Lions do have an easier schedule for technically being a fourth-place team. They get to play teams like the Cardinals, the Giants, who is it? The Saints, the Titans. So they'll get a little more advantage that way, unless, of course, the new coaches some of those teams hired turns out to be super good. They pass to Walker, and he gets the first down. And the Lions got to have a better record against the NFC North and don't get swept by the Packers and the Vikings. And they need to be able to find a way to do better against Micah Parsons and Andrew Van Ginkel, both of them, because both of them in those 4 total games were big problems. And the Micah Parsons trade happened at the very last minute, so it's hard to plan and prep for that sort of thing. But, especially when you line up Parsons against your interior, kick him into the interior offensive lineman. Looks like the halftime show's starting up. Who's getting married? Okay, there's a blonde lady in a blue dress singing. I probably should know who that is, but I don't, to be honest. This halftime performance show, to be honest with you. All right, I'm bored. I'm just going to take a bathroom break. Be right back. All right, I'm back. It looks like iRobot is taking over the halftime. Nope, it's a commercial. That halftime show was boring! Field goal attempt from the 41-yard line. Yeah, that snap looked bad, but it doesn't matter because it is up and it is good. Bob Dylan, is that what they said? Darnold was under center. It's a play action again. Passes. Touchdown! The first touchdown of the game. A.J. Barner. And the Seahawks look like they're blowing this wide open. They take the snap. 2nd and 4. Deep pass caught. Down to the 40. Mac Holland. That might just be the Patriots' biggest play of the game. Tiny holes in the zone. Snap is off. Another deep pass. He caught it, and it's a touchdown, Patriots. They will not be shut out in this game. Jason Myers, most points scored in a single season, including postseason, at 222 at that point. But they're doing a 26-yard field goal attempt. Kick is up and good. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Pass caught, first down across the 45. Patriots still playing with urgency. 4:47 and counting to score 15 points. I know it's everybody's job to keep the game interesting and create suspense on. Wow. They knocked it out of the quarterback's hands. Another fumble recovery. Scoop and score touchdown for number 7. That's the nail on the coffin there. Wowzers. For New England, I don't think they necessarily had a bad game. Like, Mike Vrabel did very well. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, did really well. The Patriots quarterback has done really well all season. They just ran into an opponent that has a really good defense and a really good all-around team. Oh, he just kind of flips it to the receiver, and they score a touchdown. That play was impressive. It was like a flip as he was falling. And the Seahawks easily get it. The onside kick. And Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl champion.
The Seattle Seahawks get the last laugh. Not the Chicago Bears, not the Kansas City Chiefs, not the Green Bay Packers, the Seattle Seahawks.